Hello. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jennifer Garapi, the pet therapist. My specialty is helping you understand your pet so that both of you are happy and no one ends up going to the shelter. Today, what we're going to talk about is what your pet would say to you if they could talk to you about where you leave them when you go on a trip. So right now, we're in the midst of the holidays, and probably lots of you have gone on trips. You may still be on a trip, or you may be getting ready to go on a trip. And so it's really super important that we know how our pets feel about where we leave them, because we, of course, love our pets and we want them to be happy, and we don't want to come back and find that our pet has been super unhappy or has gotten sick. So off the top of my head, I can think of 3 options for where you can leave your pet if you're not able to take them with you. So that would be a vet's office, a pet daycare that does overnight care, and also in a home care. And that would either be in your home or somebody else's home. So let's start with the vet's office. So if I'm a cat and I'm talking to you about my preferences, my first question to you would be, hey mom, hey dad, you know how much I hate the car, right? So why are you going to take me somewhere in a car? Now, not all cats hate the car, but if they're anything like my cats, you would think it would be the end of the world when they're in a car, because they howl and meow like nobody's business. So a vet's office may not be the best option for a cat. Plus the cages they're in are usually pretty small, and they may or may not get out or get out to be in the back room and wander around, and they may or may not get much attention. For dogs, it's kind of similar in a vet's office. It depends a lot on the size of the enclosure that they'll be in and how often they'll get walked and so forth. The other thing to think about the vet's office is that is whether your pet actually likes going to the vet. If your pet hates to go to the vet, then it's probably really not a good idea to take them there when you're on vacation. It's not going to improve their mental and emotional status. So then another option is a pet daycare. And my recommendations to you would be that if I were your pet, I would say, hey mom, hey dad, I want someplace with cage-free boarding. Because with cage-free boarding, I'm just so much more comfortable, right? Now, of course, again, we're probably talking about dogs, right? Because cats aren't typically known for being super terribly friendly to other cats right off the bat. So if you have a cat, you're going to have to still put them in a cage, but you want to make sure that the cage that they're in is a pretty large cage, so that they can go to the bathroom way on one end and eat on the other end and really get around and move a little bit so they're not really all squeezed in. And with dogs, again, I think if you have the option, the best thing would be for them to be in a cage-free boarding. And one tip that I would give you is that I would take my pet there for a half day or day before committing to leaving them there overnight, because then you can see, oh, how does the staff treat you? How do they treat your pet? Does your pet seem happy at the end of the day or not so happy? And another good tip is to also choose a facility that has cameras. So a lot of them have cameras, and you can link into the cameras and watch your pets during the day. Now, some of them are not going to have the cameras on at night, because that's sometimes a little bit creepy if you have like a staff member that's spending the night with the pets. So a lot of them will turn off the video camera at night. One thing to consider about either the vet's office or the pet daycare also is whether or not you're a believer in vaccinations. Because if you're not a believer in vaccinations, or you believe in giving them less frequently, the vet's office or the pet daycare may not be an option for you, because they may require that you be up to date on your vaccines. But one thing I would suggest in that case is that you ask if they will accept up-to-date titers instead. So in other words, your pet's blood can be tested for whether or not the immunity is still there from the vaccine. And if you can prove that the immunity is still there from the vaccine, even if you're past the due date of the vaccine, that might be enough for these facilities. And then the last option is in-home. And I think in-home is a really super great option if it's available for you. With cats, again, cats generally don't like a lot of change, and they generally don't like the car. So if they can be in your own home, and you can have a pet sitter come in once or twice a day, depending on the needs of your cats, play with them, you know, change their water, clean the litter box, and so forth. That's certainly a great option. Or you can pay someone to stay overnight in your house and then get the added bonus of having a house sitter. Now, the other option, of course, is that you could take your pet to a friend's house. And that's a good option if your pet is familiar with your friend. And again, it might be a better option for a dog than for a cat, but it's going to depend on your cat. And then the third option would be there are pet sitters who do pet sitting in their own home. And that can be really great, especially for dogs, because dogs tend to be pretty social. And then they have other animals, other dogs to play with, right, during the day. And it might be less lonely for them. So those are probably the main options for you when you go on a trip and you have to leave your pet home alone. Or I shouldn't say home alone, I should say when you have to go on a trip and you can't take your pet with you. So I hope that helped. If you have any questions or you want me to talk about any other topics, please let me know. Leave them in the comments below, and I'd be happy to see how I can help you. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you soon.